It's Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019. The Bitcoin breakout is now reaching its second stage. Today we'll feature our Bitcoin price prediction for April 2019. This is the 24 hours of Bitcoin. You can pause the video to read our disclaimer or click on a link down in the description below. Let's start off with the long-term view. We're looking at the weekly view of Bitcoin, and we're checking out the RSI. What we're looking for in our Bitcoin price prediction for April of 2019 is a continuation of a strengthening RSI trend, though I am anticipating that the RSI will pull back to reach that trend line in the near future, as we've seen in the past, where the trend line stayed intact for more than a year, but often the RSI would go off the trend line and come back to the trend line, higher from the trend line and back to the trend line. And this is what we're anticipating for the next while. Let's check out what's going on with the on-balance volume. For the rest of April's price prediction for Bitcoin, the on-balance volume has got to pick up and break above the levels that we saw in August, the levels that we saw in April, and the levels that we saw in October and April the year before. When we switch over to view the weekly chart with the MACD indicator, we can see a very positive divergence here with strong positive histogram. I believe that we are at the beginning of something very big. Now we're going to zoom in on each of these indicators to see what's happening right at the tip of the prices right now. So as we're zooming in, I'm going to pay attention to the fact that the MACD indicator has really diverged strongly here on the daily. This is a really bullish view. When we zoom in on the 12-hour, we can see how strong this is by how far apart the red and the green lines are and how positive these histogram lines are compared to what we've seen in the past. When we zoom into the 1 month, we can still see this huge change to the histogram, and that we haven't seen it slowing down yet. And we zoom back on the price here to get a perspective of what we're looking at. Onto the weekly now, this is when I first noticed a divergence where we have higher highs, but we have lower highs here. Let's watch to see how this divergence plays out over time. When we get close into the 15-minute bar, we can see that things weakened off here, but we've bottomed twice while prices have risen. Is this another divergence to the weaker side that the prices haven't revealed yet? We'll have to continue to tune in and see. However, when we zoom right into the 5-minute, we can see that we have a little bit of an uptrend here with the MACD indicator along with the prices, which to me, overall, all of these things together gives me the idea that prices are still moving higher from exactly where we are. Now let's go over to the on-balance volume and start zooming in. So we did see an increase in on-balance volume to some significant degrees here. We'll need to maintain this at least at a trickle for the next while in order to support higher prices. So great, again, we see good on-balance volume, but actually I was expecting it to be higher than what we achieved through here. We'll see what continues now. If this goes on higher and breaks these levels, we're really taking off. Here's another divergence where we have a stronger volume here and a little bit less volume here for the second high. Let's zoom in on that and see how this divergence plays out. Here it is, another one of those divergences that I continually look for at these top formations. When we're seeing these things all show up, I want to pay attention to it. So here again, we've got a little bit weaker volume here, not much. And we don't have enough of a negative volume here to raise alarms for me on the 15-minute view. So even as we're zooming in here, we're just not getting, and even when it's dipping down, it's a positive on-balance volume. And so this gives me the feeling that this is going to go up as well when I look at this indicator. So let's go to the RSI and start that same process, zoom in. So we see a positive divergence in the RSI and things have taken off. Prices are way up into the overbought territory, which they should be on an uptrend. Let's zoom back one step and just reflect on that, because all the way along in the uptrend, we're overbought, 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 overbought. This is what the RSI does when you're in an uptrend. So in an uptrend, it's not reliable for overbought, oversold, but what it can be telling us now, we've got 3 of them in this time frame showing us this divergence on the 1 hour time frame. If prices break higher, this divergence is null and void, and we'll observe to see what actually occurs with that divergence over time, because here it is again, we can see that divergence when we're looking at this time frame, and kind of roughly anyway, if we are doing it from here to here, not as dramatic. We'll have to see how this pans out over time. In order to make a Bitcoin price prediction for April, I want to take a look at all of the main coins. So what we're looking at here is Bitcoin, Stellar, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Stellar, Ethereum, and Litecoin are measured versus Bitcoin. If we go and measure them against the US dollar, we can see it for the very same time frame, a very different chart, where Ethereum, Litecoin, and Stellar are all going up in value in US dollar, as is Bitcoin. But you can see here that Bitcoin went up a considerable amount here at this time frame, whereas Ethereum only went up this much. So the difference is how much Ethereum went down versus Bitcoin here in this chart. Because Bitcoin went up, but Ethereum wasn't going up as fast. So relative to Bitcoin, it fell back for these moments. And so did Litecoin. But you can see that Litecoin rebounded and has shown strength and gone up to new highs since that time, just as it did in the US dollar. So when we compare Bitcoin here, a very big spike, Litecoin not as big. So initially Litecoin went down versus Bitcoin, but as you see this uptrend, and this move here is quite a bit relatively stronger than what Bitcoin did, and this is when Litecoin regained its position. And so our price prediction for April in Bitcoin has to take into account that all of the markets are turning bullish, and this makes the prediction go into a much more bullish stance. I'm going to go to the 4-hour bar in each of these charts to see the formation that we broke out of, that we were watching so closely. We can see that Stellar has not yet broken out as much as the other ones have. Litecoin has broken out. Ethereum has broken out a little bit, but still has a long ways to go. I believe this bull market is just beginning and reaching up to the $6,100 level when we are comparing against Bitfinex is going to be a pretty quick move. And when we're considering what Bitcoin prices are going to do for the rest of April, then my prediction is that we are going to be coming up to these levels, but for the rest of April, it's not going to be very much activity at all. The excitement is almost finished. As soon as we do this next rush up, we're going to consolidate and stay in these ranges for quite a while. And this is when we're going to be doing a whole bunch of assessment on the altcoins to see if, when Bitcoin goes higher, are the altcoins going to go down and suffer as Bitcoin shows strength. We'll do some studies on that to see. We'll be researching the correlation between Bitcoin prices and altcoin prices on our Cryptocurrency Bull Market Watch study on our other YouTube channel. You can find a link up on the top of the video right now. Go over and check this out. We scan through all of the cryptocurrencies on Poloniex, and we come up with an average of how bullish and bearish the entire market is by giving a color coding to each one of these markets. You can sign up for our free training over on Introtocryptos.ca and download this trading plan and this spreadsheet so that you can follow along with the cryptocurrencies as well. That wraps it up for our April price prediction for Bitcoin. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe so that you don't miss tomorrow's episode of the 24 Hours of Bitcoin.